That's right. We're talking with Dr. Ettie Zilber, who's the head of school at Beijing BIS International School, talking about third culture kids. The book is The Children of Educators in International Schools.
Yes.
By you?
By me.
You deal with parents at the international school who some may not even understand the concept or know the concept, or maybe they know the concept and they need advice. You're the expert. What advice do you give them?
Well, I try very hard to offer talks to parents and offer resources to parents. I think probably the best way to learn anything is by learning it yourself through a book. And so I definitely give parents reading lists, and there are quite a few really good resources out there today to help parents who have chosen a lifestyle of international mobility. That means their career is taking them to different countries, and they are taking their children with them, and they are raising their children outside their home culture. And while many parents are very happy that there are American schools, international schools, British schools, French, German, such a wide variety of schools out there for their children do change and become different. As I described before, they are third culture kids now. And sometimes that comes as a surprise to the parents. And so I feel that it's important, just like I feel it's important to explain being a third culture kid to the kids themselves, it's extremely important to explain it to the parents. And so I have given quite a few talks here in Beijing as well as in other countries. Other cities, and explaining to parents the dynamic, just like I explained to you before. What happens to your child when you do take them out of your home culture and raise them in different cultures? And I hope that is a helpful revelation to the parents to understand their children better. Certainly there are challenges, and certainly there are a lot of benefits to the family, and giving them an opportunity to ask questions and share some of their concerns is, I think it's beneficial. So that's my way of helping parents.
Would the parents maybe have some frustrations, like if they haven't realized this, didn't have no idea of this concept?
Yeah, well, certainly there is frustration, but sometimes the frustration comes way before the moment of revelation about their children. The frustration sometimes comes just with the idea of moving out of their own home culture. Not everybody's happy about that move. And so very much part of the success of the third culture experience is dependent upon the parents' attitude toward being overseas and outside their own home culture.
What will, if the kids feel unhappy about this moving or this immigrant, then what they will do to their parents?
They sneak back on board a plane and go home.
That might be you, Chris.
Well,
usually, what do they? Their parents?
It could be that the kids are not happy about it, but it could also be that the parents or one of the parents isn't happy about it themselves. And needless to say that the parents are the first models for their children. And I like to say, if well, I shouldn't stereotype it, but typically the family goes overseas mostly for the father's job. That is changing a bit, happily. But in general, it's the father's job that typically takes the majority of the families overseas. And not all the mothers are very happy about that decision.
Either.
And like they say, if mama ain't happy, ain't nobody happy.
That's true. That's true.
Right?
Around this radio show, we say, if Jingjing ain't happy, nobody's happy.
Well,
that's true.
That's exactly right. It's the same thing in the family.
As human beings, we all need the feeling of we belong to somewhere. We need a feeling of being at home, or we're looking for our root. Then what will happen to all these kids? Where are they going to be regarded as home?
These kids, it's good, very good question, Jingjing. They are not grounded necessarily in territory and land. They are more grounded in people and relationships. And their closest connections tend to be others like themselves or others who share that kind of cross-cultural experience. And it's a very, very exciting part of their lives. That is part of who they are. And others who share that are the ones they bond with.
If they're getting in love with someone, or if they are just like having the friendship with their friends, do you think they're going to have a more like stable relationship with others or unstable?
Well, it's hard to generalize. I mean, even any of the characteristics that we talk about any group of people, you can't generalize that it's true for everybody because there are variables, and a lot of the variables are measurable and some are not measurable. But there are variables in the experience. So whether they're going to have a good relationships or bad relationships, it depends very much on the entire experience. The third culture experience for kids, the third culture kid experience is based on the influences of the family, the parents, the sponsoring organization that sent them. The fourth influence is the schools, the choice of schools. That's the third influence. And the fourth influence is this expatriate community. Okay, those are the four influences on third culture kids or the third culture kid experience. So obviously, if there are problems in any of those four groups, it will have an effect on the experience. So when people say, is it good to take your kids overseas or it's not good to take your kids overseas, the only thing I can answer is, well, it depends.
Yeah, and you can read this book.
You can read my book, but there are a lot of other books out there. And I do encourage people to read, and I give a reading list on our website. We have a reading list of...
What's the website?
www.biss.com.cn, our school website, and I have a reading list for parents who are, for families who are relocating internationally,